He stepped off a yacht into the open waters of Singapore. The sun was bright, the sea calm, and Zubeen Garg, the voice of Assam, smiled as cameras rolled. He wore a life jacket, laughed with friends. But moments later, everything changed. Witnesses say he complained of shortness of breath. Then came the seizure, sudden, violent, terrifying. Crew members shouted for help as the singer's body went still in the water. Panic broke out. A rescue attempt began. CPR, desperate hands trying to pull him back from the edge. He was rushed to Singapore General Hospital. Unresponsive. Inside the ICU, doctors fought to restart his heartbeat. They couldn't. Word spread within minutes. India's beloved icon, gone. But questions followed faster than condolences. How could a man wearing a life jacket drown? Why did he remove it before returning to the water? Was it a simple accident, or something that should never have happened? Indian authorities demanded answers. Singapore police delivered the autopsy, and a shocked nation began to wonder, what really happened in those final minutes at sea? Stay with us. This is Unraveled Crime. He was Zubeen Garg, a name that meant music in Assam, a voice that crossed borders, languages, hearts. For over 2 decades, he gave India songs that could stop time. Ya Ali, Maya, Mission China. Every lyric carried the raw power of a man who felt everything he sang. In September 2025, Zubeen traveled to Singapore. He was set to headline the Northeast India Festival, an event meant to showcase the region's art, food, and talent to the world. Friends said he was excited, healthy, spirited, ready to perform. His team had arrived days earlier. The venue was booked, the posters printed, the rehearsals complete. September 19, 2025. The morning sun over Singapore was sharp and golden. Zubeen joined a group outing, a short cruise arranged by members of the Assamese community living there. 11 people in total, his manager, fellow artists, friends, and crew. They boarded a private yacht that would take them out toward calm waters near the southern coast. Witnesses say the mood was light. Music played softly. Zubeen laughed, took photos, and looked out across the ocean. He was wearing a life jacket, bright orange against the pale blue sea. He told someone nearby that he loved the calm, that the water reminded him of the Brahmaputra back home. After a short swim, he climbed back onto the boat. Everything seemed fine. Then, for reasons still being examined, he decided to go back into the water again, without the life jacket this time. Some said he complained it didn't fit properly, others said he wanted to float freely. No one could have imagined what would happen next. Moments after re-entering the water, he began struggling to breathe. Witnesses recall a sudden stillness, then a spasm, a seizure, violent and unexpected. Panic broke out. Crew members shouted for help. Friends dove in. Someone tried to hold his head above water while another called emergency services. The minutes that followed were chaos and desperation. They managed to pull him onto the yacht's deck. CPR was started immediately. For nearly 10 minutes they tried. Chest compressions, rescue breaths calling his name. But there was no response. A speedboat ferried him back to shore, where a waiting ambulance took him straight to Singapore General Hospital. Doctors placed him in intensive care, fighting to stabilize him. According to hospital sources, every possible measure was taken: oxygen, cardiac support, advanced resuscitation. But the effort could not undo what the water had already done. At around 2:30 p.m. IST, corresponding to local Singapore time that afternoon, doctors officially declared him dead. The cause listed later in the death certificate: drowning. News spread in minutes. Assam went silent. Phones buzzed, timelines flooded, disbelief turned to grief. The Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, confirmed the news publicly. He also announced that the Singapore police force had begun a full inquiry and that an official autopsy would be conducted before the body was released to India. For those who knew him, the timeline was hard to accept. How could a man who had sung through exhaustion, through illness, be gone in seconds? What exactly happened between the moment he took off that jacket and the moment he stopped breathing? According to statements provided to Singapore police and later shared with Indian officials, Zubeen had a history of seizures, controlled with medication. Authorities noted that he had taken his prescription the previous evening, but whether the combination of warm weather, exertion, or sudden immersion triggered a medical episode remains unclear. The Singapore autopsy was completed within 24 hours. Its findings, death by drowning with no immediate sign of foul play, were handed over to Indian diplomats. Still, when his body arrived in Guwahati, the questions had only grown louder. Crowds lined the streets, weeping and chanting his songs. State mourning was declared, and under public pressure, a second autopsy was ordered, this time at the Guwahati Medical College Hospital. Meanwhile, Singapore authorities cooperated fully, providing statements, photographs, and medical documentation. The incident was recorded as an accidental drowning, though investigations continued regarding the timeline of rescue and medical response. Forensic experts in both countries later noted that his lungs contained seawater, clear evidence that he drowned rather than suffering a cardiac event before submersion. But the seizure remained a crucial factor. It likely incapacitated him before he could call for help. Friends who were on the yacht told reporters that Zubeen had seemed perfectly normal until that moment, calm, even playful. He had sung a few lines of an unfinished song. He had promised to record it once the festival was over. Minutes later, that voice was gone. In the space of a heartbeat, celebration turned to tragedy, and the man who once sang about life, love, and the soul of Assam left his final silence drifting in the Singapore Sea. The official report listed a single word: drowning. That was the cause of death on Zubeen Garg's certificate. But in Assam, in India, and across Southeast Asia, few believed it could be that simple. Singapore police confirmed that a full autopsy had been conducted. The results were shared directly with Indian authorities. Their process was described as routine, precise, procedural, by the book. But for millions of fans, nothing about this felt routine. Zubeen Garg wasn't just another artist on tour. He was the Zubeen, an icon, a cultural force, a man whose voice had defined a generation. The idea that his life could end so abruptly, in such an ordinary accident, didn't sit right with anyone. India's Ministry of External Affairs coordinated with Singaporean officials. The Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, personally confirmed that both nations were working together. The autopsy findings were received, verified, and passed along. Still, the questions only grew louder. Was everything done properly? Were there lapses in safety? Or was someone responsible for negligence or worse? As the body was flown back to Assam, crowds gathered at the airport in silence. Mourners lined the streets as his coffin was taken home. And yet, in the midst of grief, whispers began to spread. There were claims, conflicting accounts about what exactly happened aboard that yacht. Some said Zubeen was warned not to swim without his life jacket. Others insisted he appeared calm, composed, and in control. A few even suggested the distress came moments after re-entering the water. Too fast, too soon. The official word from Singapore remained unchanged: drowning due to accidental causes, but public pressure in Assam was mounting. Families, fans, and community leaders demanded transparency. They wanted to see for themselves what the autopsy had revealed. So, a second post-mortem was authorized, conducted in Guwahati before cremation. Indian doctors reviewed every detail. They noted no external injuries inconsistent with drowning. Still, the questions persisted. Then came the arrests. Co-musician Shekhar Jyoti Goswami, co-singer Amrit Prava Mahanta, manager Siddharth Sharma, festival organizer Shamkanu Mahanta. All four were taken into custody by Assam police, remanded for questioning. The charges, not yet formalized, but related to alleged negligence and procedural lapses surrounding Zubeen's safety. Authorities confirmed that digital evidence, phone records, yacht logs, and surveillance data were under forensic review. Each of the individuals was interrogated about what exactly unfolded between the first swim, the second, and the emergency call that followed. As of now, investigations remain active. Singapore police have closed their file on accidental death, but India's inquiry continues, driven by the belief that something still doesn't add up. A man loved by millions went for a swim and never came back. The sea has its secrets, and in the case of Zubeen Garg, those waters still haven't spoken their last word. Every tragedy leaves behind questions, but in the case of Zubeen Garg, there were too many to ignore. The first contradiction came from the life jacket. Witnesses confirmed that Zubeen wore it during his first swim. He was cautious, smiling, floating easily, chatting with those on board. Later, he reportedly said the jacket didn't fit well. It felt tight around the chest, so he removed it. Minutes later, he entered the water again, this time without protection. That decision, simple, human, perhaps spontaneous, would later become the center of a storm. Was the jacket indeed uncomfortable, or did someone advise him it was safe without it? Had there been a safety officer on board? Was the yacht crew trained to handle emergencies? Authorities have not confirmed. Then came reports about Zubeen's medical history. According to India Today, the singer had experienced seizures before, a condition his close circle was aware of. He'd reportedly been on medication for years, but it remains unclear whether he carried that medication during his trip to Singapore or if anyone on the yacht knew how to respond if a seizure occurred. Public concern deepened when the timeline blurred. Was it a swim or a scuba dive? Some early headlines called it a scuba diving accident, implying deep-sea immersion with equipment. But witnesses later clarified there were no tanks, no suits, no dive gear. He was simply swimming near the yacht. That miscommunication fueled speculation that the earliest reports were confused or incomplete. Then the question of timing. How quickly did the rescue begin? Who saw him struggling first? Was CPR started immediately? And how long did it take for medical help to arrive? Eyewitnesses differ. Some insist he was pulled from the water almost instantly. Others recall a delay, shouting, confusion, precious minutes slipping away. Singapore authorities confirmed emergency response protocols were followed, but the exact timeline hasn't been made public. Each small gap in the story widened into doubt. Each contradiction, life jacket, health, timeline, made the tragedy harder to accept as just an accident. And so the world asked the same question. Was this an unforeseeable medical emergency, or a preventable chain of human errors that ended in loss? For Zubeen Garg's fans, the truth still feels submerged, waiting to surface.
3 more NRIs who originally hail from Assam and are now based in Singapore have arrived today. They were all part of the yacht party along with Zubeen Garg and are key witness to the incident on September 19 that led to Zubeen Garg's death, and they have been questioned inside the CID headquarters here in Guwahati. Remember, last week another NRI had also joined the investigation. In total, 11 NRIs who were part of the yacht party in Singapore, they were summoned by the SIT of Assam CID, and then they were actually sent summons, of which one first came last week and 3 of them this week, and you can see some more NRIs are being now brought, so they are being brought for questioning here in the Assam CID headquarters. In fact, so one by one all the NRIs have come and joined this questioning, this investigation. Their statements are being recorded by the magistrate as well. This comes at a time when the 14 days CID remand of the prime accused in this case, the event organizer Shyam Kanu Mahanta and Siddharth Sharma, the manager of Zubeen Garg, gets over, and in all likelihood they will be sent to judicial remand. So there you can see these people being taken to the CID police station. So therefore, at this moment the investigation is gathering pace because their statements are going to be important. But meanwhile, Zubeen Garg's family, his wife, his sister, has once again taken to social media asking for justice within 10 days. The hashtag justice for Zubeen Garg has been trending. In fact, what CID sources have given us to understand that some of the technical data from the mobile phone of Zubeen Garg's co-singer Amrit Prabha Mahanta, who actually recorded the sequence of events that day, and that of Zubeen Garg's phone have been retrieved. These visuals were actually deleted from the cell phones. Amrit Prabha's phone visuals were deleted in the instruction of Zubeen Garg's manager, Siddharth Sharma. That's what in the investigation it has been found by the SIT. That's what the sources are telling us, and therefore now these key evidences, this electronic evidences that the information technology cell of the CID has been able to retrieve are going to be also key evidences, apart from the 2 autopsy report and the viscera report that is there with them. So in this case where Zubeen Garg's death is being probed, significant way forward can be seen, with the NRIs from Singapore also joining the investigation one by one.
Singapore's findings were clear and brief. The cause of death: drowning. That single word appeared in the official autopsy report, confirmed by both India Today and NDTV. There were no external injuries, no marks of struggle, and no signs of foul play. Singapore police have made no declaration of murder, assault, or criminal suspicion. To them, it was a tragic accident, a sudden drowning during a recreational swim. The autopsy was conducted promptly at Singapore General Hospital. Medical examiners followed international forensic standards before handing over the final report. Once the examination was complete, the remains were formally released to Indian authorities. Officials from the Indian High Commission oversaw the repatriation process. Zubeen Garg's body was flown home under escort with all legal and diplomatic clearances in place. Back in Assam, preparations were made for the final rites, a moment of collective grief for millions. Crowds gathered as the coffin arrived, fans sang his songs through tears. Authorities stood beside family members, assuring them that every official step had been taken according to protocol. For Singapore, the investigation was closed. For India, the mourning had just begun. And yet, for those who loved Zubeen, one question still lingered quietly beneath the official reports. If it was only drowning, why does it still feel like something more? The real twist in the case of Zubeen Garg wasn't buried in secret documents or a hidden conspiracy. It wasn't found in the autopsy room or whispered through diplomatic channels. The twist was how fast certainty took hold before the facts were even clear. In the first few hours after the news broke, headlines rushed out across every corner of the internet. Scuba diving accident. That phrase appeared in multiple reports, repeated, reposted, amplified. People imagined deep waters, air tanks, and diving gear. But it wasn't true. Witness accounts and official statements later clarified the truth. Zubeen Garg hadn't been scuba diving. He was simply swimming without any diving equipment. A small but crucial detail, one that changed the entire picture. By the time this clarification surfaced, misinformation had already spread. Dozens of social media pages posted videos claiming to show his final moments, many of them fake or unrelated. Others circulated alleged autopsy reports, complete with fabricated medical details. They were false. The noise became so loud that both Singapore police and Assam authorities had to intervene. Public statements were issued. Warnings went out against sharing unverified content. People were urged to rely only on official sources. But by then, something irreversible had happened. The public had already decided what had happened and why. Within hours, debates began online. Some blamed safety negligence, others speculated about health conditions, medication, and exhaustion. And a few went further, weaving narratives of cover-ups, conspiracies, even foul play, despite zero evidence of any crime. This is where the real twist lies, not in a revelation of guilt, but in the speed of speculation, in how quickly rumor replaced reason, how easily emotion overtook evidence. Even with clear confirmation, cause of death, drowning, the narrative spiraled beyond control. What began as a tragedy became a digital storm, Clips were edited, quotes were taken out of context, new sources appeared overnight. Each post, each tweet, each video, another layer of confusion. And as misinformation spread, something else happened. The real story of a man's life, career, and legacy began to fade beneath the noise. The public had answers, but not necessarily the truth. The irony is haunting. In an age where everything is recorded, shared, and analyzed within seconds, the clearest facts often arrive too late to shape perception. That's the twist in the Zubeen Garg case. Not that a crime was hidden, not that foul play was covered up, but that certainty, once formed in the public's mind, can be harder to undo than any mystery. Because the tragedy of Zubeen Garg's death didn't just unfold in the water off Singapore, it unfolded online, in real time, where truth and rumor collided, and where millions believed they already knew what happened before the investigation even began. When news of Zubeen Garg's death reached Assam, time seemed to stop. For hours, the streets fell silent. Shops closed. Radios played his songs on loop. An entire state united in grief. He wasn't just a singer. He was a symbol of Assamese pride, identity, and resilience. From Ya Ali to Maya, his voice carried across languages, generations, and borders. Political leaders, artists, and fans gathered together, not as officials or celebrities, but as mourners. The Chief Minister of Assam announced state mourning, a gesture reserved for only the most beloved figures. Thousands lined up for one last glimpse, flowers in hand, tears in their eyes. But beneath the mourning came questions. Why did he go back into the water without a life jacket? Was his history of seizures known to those around him? Could more precautions have saved him? Each question echoed not from suspicion, but from heartbreak. Because in losing Zubeen, Assam didn't just lose a musician. It lost a voice that told its stories, a spirit that gave its people hope. And even now, his songs play softly, as if the state itself is still trying to say goodbye. Even after multiple reports, investigations, and public statements, some details about Zubeen Garg's final moments remain unanswered. Authorities have not publicly confirmed the exact moment he removed his life jacket, or who was standing closest when he decided to return to the water without it. It's unclear whether all standard safety warnings were followed aboard the yacht, and if a designated crew member was responsible for monitoring swimmers. There are also unresolved medical questions. Did Zubeen experience any early signs of distress before entering the water? Was there a seizure before or during the incident, or did it occur only as he began to drown? Then comes the timeline. The sequence of rescue, CPR, transportation, and hospital admission has yet to be fully detailed in any official public release. Each minute in that window matters, and could determine whether the tragedy was truly unavoidable. Finally, investigators await or review toxicology analyses and any supplementary medical documentation. Only once those are complete can legal authorities decide if negligence, misjudgment, or mere misfortune defined the final moments of Zubeen Garg's life. Until then, the story and the questions remain open. These are the facts as they stand today. Date: September 19, 2025. Location: a yacht off the coast of Singapore. Medical facility: Singapore General Hospital. Official cause of death: drowning. An autopsy was performed in Singapore, and the report was handed to Indian authorities. A second autopsy was later conducted in Assam, not because the evidence had changed, but because the public demanded certainty. They wanted to be sure that every possibility had been considered. In the days that followed, 4 individuals, his co-musician, co-singer, manager, and a festival organizer, were arrested in India as part of an ongoing investigation. Their detainment reflected not accusation, but procedure, an effort to understand what exactly went wrong that day. For now, no court has established negligence. No official record has confirmed foul play. But the investigation continues, as it must when a nation loses a voice that meant so much. Because this story is no longer just about how Zubeen Garg died. It's about how truth is handled when the world is watching. about how quickly confusion can shape reality, and about the weight of responsibility owed to a public figure whose life and death belong not just to headlines, but to history. Zubeen Garg is gone, but the questions remain. Not about who he was, that the world already knows. They remain about what we owe to truth, to clarity, to the memory of a man whose voice defined a people, and whose silence still echoes through their hearts. If this video helped you understand what's known, and what still isn't, about Zubeen Garg's final hours, please like this video, subscribe to Unraveled Crime, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your voice matters here. Comment below, what question do you want answered most clearly in this case? Was it negligence, an accident, or something else entirely? Until the next story, remember, speculation fades but facts endure. Because at Unraveled Crime we believe every story deserves the truth, no matter how deep it lies.